What if I told you there's a psychological trick that can make people agree with you without them realizing why? Sounds unbelievable, right? But chances are you've already experienced it. Maybe you've met someone for the first time and instantly felt comfortable, like you'd known them forever. You couldn't explain it, but you found yourself nodding along, agreeing with almost everything they said. Or maybe you've dealt with a salesperson who seemed to get you, matching your tone, pace, and energy so perfectly that saying yes just felt natural. Even charismatic leaders, influential speakers, or that one friend everyone listens to, they all seem to share this strange ability to sync with people effortlessly. But here's the truth. That connection isn't luck or magic, it's psychology. What you were experiencing is something called the mirror technique, a subtle but powerful behavioral pattern that's been studied by neuroscientists and used by negotiators, therapists, and influencers for decades. It's the hidden art of reflecting someone's emotions, body language, and tone so seamlessly that their brain starts to see you as one of them. When that happens, their resistance drops, trust builds, and influence becomes almost automatic. This isn't manipulation. It's a glimpse into how deeply social our brains are wired to connect. And once you understand how the mirror technique works, you'll start to see it everywhere, in conversations, in business, in relationships. And more importantly, you'll learn how to use it ethically to make people listen, trust, and even follow your lead. The mirror technique is rooted in one of the most fascinating discoveries in modern neuroscience. Mirror neurons. These are special brain cells that activate both when you perform an action and when you observe someone else doing that same action. First discovered by neuroscientists at the University of Parma in Italy in the 1990s, mirror neurons explain why you instinctively smile when someone smiles at you, or why you cringe when you see someone get hurt. Your brain is wired to mirror the emotional and physical states of others. It's a built-in empathy engine. This mechanism is what makes the mirror technique so powerful. When you subtly reflect someone's body language, tone, or emotions, their mirror neurons start firing, and their brain begins to associate you with themselves. Psychologically, that's huge. Human beings are naturally drawn to people who feel familiar, safe, and similar to them. It's called the similarity principle, and it's one of the strongest predictors of trust and likability. When someone thinks they're like me, they become far more open to your ideas, your influence, and even your authority. You can see this phenomenon everywhere. Skilled negotiators and FBI behavioral experts use it to build rapport under pressure. Therapists use it to make clients feel understood within minutes. Even top salespeople and leaders rely on it, not by copying others, but by syncing with their rhythm. They mirror energy, posture, or tone in subtle ways that the subconscious picks up, triggering a powerful sense of connection. What's fascinating is that the effect happens below conscious awareness. The other person won't notice what you're doing. They'll just feel like you're easy to talk to. That feeling of alignment is what lowers psychological defenses and makes influence effortless. The mirror technique isn't manipulation, it's communication at its most primal and effective level. Mirroring isn't just a theory you read about in psychology textbooks. It's something you can see in action across countless real-world situations, from negotiation rooms to casual conversations. One of the best documented examples comes from FBI hostage negotiators who are trained to use mirroring as a rapport-building tool in life-or-death situations. Former FBI negotiator Chris Voss, in his book Never Split the Difference, describes how repeating the last 2 or 3 words someone says, calmly and naturally, triggers a subtle psychological response. The person instantly feels heard and understood, and as a result, becomes more cooperative. It's one of the simplest yet most effective forms of mirroring, and it works because it taps directly into the human need for validation. You'll find the same principle at play in the world of sales and business. The most successful salespeople don't talk fast, push hard, or dominate the conversation. Instead, they mirror their client's pace, tone, and energy. If the client speaks softly and slowly, they match that rhythm. If the client is upbeat and animated, they reflect that enthusiasm. Studies have shown that when this is done subtly, Customers report feeling more comfortable and are significantly more likely to make a purchase. Their brain interprets the salesperson's behavior as similarity. This person gets me, and that emotional comfort translates into trust. In relationships, the mirror technique happens naturally. Close friends often adopt each other's slang, gestures, or even laughter styles over time. Romantic partners unconsciously match breathing rhythms and walking pace, a physical synchronization that reflects deep emotional connection. These patterns aren't learned, they're instinctive. Our brains are constantly looking to sync with those we feel connected to. Even in interviews or podcasts, you can spot mirroring in action. Watch Oprah Winfrey or Joe Rogan. They naturally lean forward when guests do, nod at similar moments, and match tone and pacing. That's not a coincidence. It's a deliberate use of rapport psychology that encourages guests to open up. The more the guest feels in sync, the more vulnerable and authentic their responses become. From professional negotiation to everyday friendship, the mirror technique works because it's built into our biology. It's not about tricking people. It's about aligning with their emotional state so their brain perceives you as trustworthy and safe. That's why people who master this skill seem effortlessly persuasive. They're not forcing connection, they're mirroring it. Using the mirror technique effectively isn't about manipulation. It's about creating genuine psychological alignment. When used ethically, it builds connection, trust, and mutual understanding. But when used carelessly, it can come across as fake or even unsettling. The key lies in subtlety and sincerity. Mirroring works best when your goal is to connect, not control. The first step is observation. Before you mirror anyone, take a moment to study their natural rhythm, their tone of voice, posture, energy level, and pace of speaking. Are they calm and measured or animated and expressive? Are their gestures open or restrained? People broadcast their emotional state through these cues, and when you mirror them correctly, you meet them where they are emotionally. Next comes subtle matching. This is where most people go wrong. They try to mimic too obviously. Mirroring should feel invisible. If the person crosses their arms, you don't immediately do the same. Wait several seconds, then adjust your posture naturally into something similar, but not identical. If they speak slowly, ease your own pace down just slightly. If they lean forward, you can do so too, but smoothly as part of the flow. The goal is to echo, not imitate. The moment it feels forced, the brain detects incongruence, and the trust you were building disappears. Once you've built a comfortable rhythm, you can begin the third step, leading. This is where mirroring transforms from connection to influence. When two people are in sync, a fascinating shift occurs. The follower starts to mirror you back. At this point, you can gradually shift your tone, posture, or pace, and they'll subconsciously follow. For example, if someone is anxious, start by mirroring their energy for a moment. Then slowly relax your shoulders, slow your breathing, and soften your tone. Within minutes, they'll often begin to calm down too. This is how therapists, leaders, and skilled communicators guide emotional states in others without saying a word. But there's one crucial rule. Authenticity is non-negotiable. If you're mirroring just to gain advantage or force agreement, people will sense it. Humans have evolved to detect emotional insincerity. Even subtle mismatches in tone or expression can trigger distrust. True influence is built on empathy, not manipulation. The mirror technique works best when you genuinely want to understand and connect with someone, not control them. When done right, this simple psychological tool can turn even tense or awkward interactions into moments of trust and cooperation. But it requires awareness, patience, and integrity, because real power in communication comes from connection, not coercion. When mirroring is done right, it triggers what psychologists call the obedience effect. Not because people are forced to comply, but because their brains start associating you with trust and safety. This happens through the release of oxytocin, often called the trust hormone. When someone feels understood and emotionally aligned with you, oxytocin levels rise, lowering their defenses and increasing cooperation. One famous study in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology found that waiters who subtly mirrored customers' speech and posture received 70% higher tips. The customers didn't consciously notice the mirroring. They just felt good around that person. This is why great leaders, therapists, and negotiators all use this technique. Once someone feels seen and synchronized with you, they naturally become more open to your suggestions, ideas, and direction. The truth is, influence isn't about pushing people. It's about pulling them into alignment with you. The mirror technique works because it taps into something ancient in the human brain, our deep need to feel understood. When you mirror someone authentically, you don't have to force persuasion. It happens naturally. People trust those who reflect their energy, listen deeply, and make them feel seen. The real power of mirroring isn't control, it's connection. Whether you're leading a team, negotiating a deal, or just having a conversation, this technique can turn tension into trust and resistance into agreement. But the key is sincerity. When your intent is genuine, your influence becomes effortless. So the next time you want someone to listen, agree, or follow your lead, don't talk louder. Mirror softer. Because the greatest persuasion doesn't come from dominance, but from understanding.